Greeting exporters. Our webinar on how to use videos to boost your export sales will start in 3 minutes. Welcome exporters. This video webinar is about to begin on how to use videos to boost your export sales. We're delighted to be here today to greet you all and to learn lots of information about videos and localizing your websites, localizing videos, and how to boost export sales. Before we actually get started, because we've got a lot of information and ground to cover, I wanted to give a couple of things on housekeeping. So just on housekeeping, for this current webinar, we're going to be about 45 minutes long. During the webinar, we're going to have 3 polls. So we would really ask that you participate in these polls. These are going to be questions to the audience. We'd love your participation there. And we're also going to be giving out some handouts. Handouts that you can use and infographics on video, on social media, and on particular markets that we think might be interesting for you. We are going to have a live Q&A at the end of the webinar, and we would really encourage you to drop the questions into your chat box, question box, whichever format you have, and we'll be curating the questions and answering them at the end of the webinar. So looking forward to your questions there. Just to say finally that this webinar is part of a whole series of webinars that we do for exporters targeting markets and particular concerns and challenges that exporters have with online tools and social media and localized websites. So sit back, enjoy, and finally just know that you don't even have to take notes. We will be sending you a recording of the slide deck on Friday. And at the end of this webinar, there is a very, very, very brief survey. We would really appreciate if you could attend and just fill out the 4 questions we have at the very end of this webinar. So that's the survey at the end. But right now, sit back, enjoy, and I hope that you find the webinar useful and instructive and helpful for you. So just a quick introduction on us. My name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer for IBT Online, and I've been with IBT for over a decade now. and really sort of seen how video and how online marketing has absolutely changed the lives for exporters and allowed them to reach international markets at a much faster and more cost-effective manner. And Vanessa is joining me today, Vanessa Lee Adamson, who's our online marketing senior manager. Vanessa is an absolute whiz and fount of knowledge on online marketing on all kinds of different platforms and programs. So I'm really delighted that Vanessa could be with me today just to share our experiences and our best practices on videos and how they can help exporters boost their sales. Just 2 seconds on the company itself, IBT Online. We are a private company. We're a US company, though we also have an office in Europe. And we've been around since 2002. We're 100% focused on exporters and helping exporters. And we do that by being 100% focused on online tools. So we build and manage websites and online strategies for corporations. And typically those corporations are small and mid-cap companies. So hopefully you'll identify with this and say, hey, these are people who know us well. So without more ado, we're going to get started. We have, as I said, a lot to talk about. Our agenda today, Vanessa and I decided to split it up into sort of 4 big chunks and leaving, as I said, some time at the end for Q&A. So we're just sort of, video is just such an amazing platform for demonstrations, tech overviews, everything. But increasingly, videos are used as a way to build relationships and trust with your audience through thought leadership. And now the videos coming now in all sizes, shapes, forms, from podcasts with long shelf lives to virtual demos, live Q&As. There's even a really growing trend of inserting videos into emails to attract attention and personalize your sales pitch. So you can see that videos are really now becoming as ubiquitous in fact as the internet. If we look at some of the size, some of the big size and numbers behind this, Cisco, who is sort of like building all the backbones of these kind of things. Quite interesting to look at their forecasts, and they give a sort of 5-year view, taking some back material back from 2016, extending it out over a 5-year view, looking at the numbers for this sort of hardware. And video takes up a lot of bandwidth, obviously, for giants like Cisco, but they are estimated that video will be by far the dominant content form for the internet of the future. So look at these projections. They're just enormous. A tripling of video content from existing current levels. So absolutely huge. Certainly the people installing the pipelines, as it were, are convinced that video is definitely here to stay and to be the dominant form on the internet. Well, in terms of marketing and sales, obviously a picture tells 1,000 words, and sales and marketing teams have definitely bought that maxim. They've understood that and contributed their bit to the amazing surge in video consumption around the world. So I think it's just really interesting also to see some of those numbers. 80% of consumer internet traffic by within the next 3 years will be videos. It's still growing at a global rate of 26% per annum. I think also what's interesting is that the single largest area for video traffic at the moment is the Asia Pacific region, which accounts for 40% of all video traffic. And then finally, I would just also highlight 50%, over 50% of web traffic is accessed via mobile devices today. So really, you can say, brands need a video marketing strategy. In a sense, this isn't new. What's really changed is how important video has become on every single channel, every single platform. So videos are no longer just one little piece of your overall marketing plan. It's now become central to many companies' outreach and many of their campaign efforts, especially your social media strategies. And that's really what we're going to be talking about now. Now, the good news for mid-cap companies looking to export is that video production is more cost-effective than ever. And you can shoot in high-quality 4K video just by using your smartphone. So video is cheaper and easier than ever, and is also absolutely essential for today's marketing. And for your exports, we find even more so. Using video for our clients has some of the best returns for international marketing, and can be used at all stages of the buyer's journey. Now let's look at some of the brands. This is something quite interesting. I think it was a study done by HubSpot, just showing what kind of content do you want to see from a brand or business that you support. And again, the overwhelming hands down leader was videos at over 54%. 2016 is largely perceived as the year when most sales and marketing teams started to say, yes, we need some video content in our strategy. But today it's taken really as a given that it's an integral part of your marketing strategy. And that actually has implications. So today, for us, video is not isolated to a few people in the corner of the marketing department, but really it should involve all parts of your team, from sales, marketing, production, export, every part of your organization. And I think that really it's important to see that, and can be done in a very conversational, measurable way. We will be so this graph was done, as I said, by HubSpot, but we will also be looking at some other sources as well as we go along. Oops, hold on, let me just get rid of this. We wanted to we're not really going to be talking about, this webinar is not really about techniques of shooting great with videos. We're not going to be looking at all the different ways of holding your camera and using your camera, but we did want to just distill a few of our major experiences. And I guess for us, there are really two lessons we have found to be most useful. The first is to start with a conversation about the purpose of your video. So, why did it be? Every decision made during the video creation process is going to point back to your video's purpose and what action you'd like your audience to complete after watching it. And of course, without a clear purpose agreed upon by your team, you'll find yourself in an absolute whirlwind of reshooting, reframing, editing, and wasting a lot of time. So there are basically a lot of players when you make a video, and you need to make sure that they're all aligned and all agreed on. And that's the second point. So the first one is, why are you making the video? What's the goal of the video? And two, making sure that everybody's involved in the discussion. And the way to do that for us is to create a questionnaire. So we use a lot of project management softwares for our web build and management side, but you could use other, if you don't have a project management in-house, you can always use Google Forms. And then you create this questionnaire and you pass it along to all the stakeholders of the project. And this way you can ask the same questions of everyone and aggregate your answers in one place. So, who's your target audience? What is the buyer persona that you're looking for? What's the goal? Is it to increase brand awareness or launch a new product? Sometimes it can be, two goals at once, but what's the main priority goal? Number three, what's the next step? Where will that video lead to? Link to the goal. What should the call to action, or what should the next following step be for that video? Then, where is the video going to live? Is it going to be on Facebook, on a landing page? You should probably begin with one target location where you know that your audience is going to find you, and then you can repurpose it for other channels. When is it due? Always start with a timeline. It's going to be very different. A video that's got like a 3 month to prepare is very different for something that's required by the next few days. And then the budget, obviously. Budgets. You have to set a budget, otherwise these things can get very expensive. So they don't have to be expensive. Set a budget. And what about your creative requirements? Think about that. Think about, do you need a designer? Do you need animation video, live action video? And then really important, what constitutes success? Set your metrics. And we'll get back to metrics a little bit later when we look at the analytics. We also thought we would distill on one page some of the tips for the most engaging videos. And again, this is worthy of an entire other webinar, but we thought we'd just sort of distill it onto one if we could. And most business videos need a script. If you skip that step, you'll find yourself editing more and more and releasing a video much longer than it should be, and so on, and you might lose your audience along the way. So you start writing your script like you would a blog post, really. You outline things and keep your key points, and you order them carefully and things. But you definitely start with a script, and that's something you've been working on throughout. Now, you got to keep it short. I've put 1 minute 30 in brackets because a lot of videos, you don't want to go longer than that. Some videos obviously can, demo videos, just demonstration videos, obviously. But there's, in terms of consumers, they have the worst time reports. There's a company called Visible Measures who was looking at, they were saying that 20% of all viewers will stop watching after 10 seconds of your video. And about a third stop watching after 30 seconds. This is very much for B2C, but keep it short. And with that, make the messaging up front. Don't hide your aces. Don't keep your message to some fine finale at the end. Get the message out there at the very front. And again, with that comes very clear language. Keep it simple, especially for exporter videos. And then the last thing I'd say is music. There's a lot of evidence to show that music has even if it's background music, it really has a great effect on making videos seem a lot more professional, a lot better. There's music can be an expensive thing. You need to look at copyright laws. What we often try and look at is there's things called royalty-free songs. That doesn't mean they're free to use. It just means that there's a flat fee. So you don't have to pay a royalty every time it's used. You just pay a flat fee. So there's no additional licensing fees or royalties. YouTube has some great sites to find them. Also, Premium Beat has some finds for royalty-free music. But music is something that is now affordable for that. So those are our top tips, both for the creating great videos and the top tips for engaging videos. With these huge upsurge that we've seen now in videos. Now with that, I want to launch my first poll. So for the first poll here, please, gather your mice together. And the poll I'd like to ask you all, the question I'd like to ask you all is, do you use videos to promote your business today? Do you use them on your domestic markets, on your international markets, or are you thinking about it, or have no intention of doing this? So I'm glad to say that nobody has no intention of doing this. Interestingly, the majority of you use videos for both domestic and international websites, which is business, which is fantastic. I'd say the audience is equally split for the rest between thinking about it and just for our domestic business. Domestic business. Thank you very much. There's just a few more voting now, lots of people voting now, but it hasn't really changed very much. It's just basically the majority of you use videos already for domestic and your international business. That's fantastic. Good to know. Right, moving on to our second section here, videos that help export sales growth. And the first thing we wanted to do really is talk about what kind of videos. Now, there's an awful lot of types of videos in the world, from all kinds. But I wanted to list the main. I guess we see 12 really that are used by sales and marketing teams. They are a tremendously versatile tool for salespeople throughout the entire customer buyer journey. And it can do much more than just increase engagement. So, you know, with the analytics, you can also, for example, qualify and prioritize leads, including unresponsive leads, and get them out of your system. So really, the options for a sales and marketing team are really endless. You know, onboarding videos, knowledge-based videos, customer stories, all kinds of things. But as I said, these are the 12 that we see recurring regularly for sales and marketing teams. If your product or service is more of a commodity, the audience is probably aware already of the existence of that as a product, but you may need to convince them that yours is the best one, and therefore you're probably going to need something called a demonstration video. That's what people call a demonstration video. But that's one of the most common. Another of the most common is what's called an explainer video. That's a bit different from a demonstration video. Demonstration, as I said, is for more if you have a more commodity product and you want to make sure that yours sticks out. If your product or service is more innovative, then you probably need something called an explainer video. That addresses basically, you know, it reminds the viewers of the problem they have, demonstrates the solution that deals with it, explains how it works, so that the audience is then convinced that your solution is what they need. So that's really gets your audience to better understand why they need your product. A lot of explainer videos focus on sort of almost like a fictional journey of the company's buyer who's struggling with a problem. So so that's quite a common way. And those are the two most common types of video used by companies: the demonstration or the explainer. But there are many other types that can be used as part of generalized advertising campaigns, you know, showcasing company high-level vision, missions, and such. And the goal of the brand videos is really to build awareness around your company and attract target audience. So, you know, these are all kinds of videos that apply to exporters as well as to a domestic market. But we'll see a little bit later that sometimes the type of video you want as an exporter might be a little bit, you know, you might say we need more of the educational, more of the front end type of video to attract leads rather than a more personalized message. So now let's talk really about videos for the buyer's journey. And this is, you know, there are, you know, all these different types of videos means that there are videos for all stages of the buyer's journey, whether that's, you know, attracting new leads, converting them into potential sales, closing those sales deals, or what we call delight under the sort of HubSpot model of inbound marketing. Delight would be then sort of, you know, more onboarding, next steps, and getting your clients even to act as testimonials. So, you know, too often companies just jump at the opportunity of creating their first video. So they spend tons of money on an explainer video for their homepage, and then once it's done, they sort of just leave it out there and don't go all the way through, we find. So on the flip side, lots of businesses can also turn out sort of almost what I would call social videos, but they've often just replicated fads that they've seen elsewhere. So their videos don't really consider any personalized challenges and don't have good effect. So given the time and money and resources, video marketing must not be just an impulsive sort of thing. You've got to really create your marketing strategy that integrates videos and applies to every facet of the sales and marketing journey. So on this inbound methodology route that we're looking at here, this approach obviously focuses on attracting customers through content and interactions that are relevant. So dividing it into those stages, as I said, attract, convert, close, and delight. So an attract, basically, you're looking at turning strangers into visitors. And typically, the type of goal that this video would have is to expand the reach and build some kind of trust. You're looking to garner shares for your video. It's more like entertaining, emotion-evoking than educational. But, you know, you still got to have some good information there, but it's really, you know, it's really attract video to start with. So there'd be social videos, for example, showing off a brand's personality, or thought leadership videos, brand films, explainers, and how-to videos. Don't talk too much about, videos in that stage of attract, don't talk too much about your product. Instead, talk about who you are, why you're doing this. In terms of convert, now that you've attracted some video viewers to your website, the next step is really to convert them into leads. Again, with an inbound marketing approach, that means collecting some sort of content information via a form. Now, videos can be a fantastic place to ask for email contact, a call to action, more, to engage people, to engage, or to convince them to engage more with you. So that's the important part here. Convert videos typically could be a webinar like this, or product demos, landing page promotional videos, case studies, or more in-depth explainers and how-to. So this is more sort of converting them to you as opposed to just attracting them to your company. The close part, that is really you've attracted their audience, and now you really want to convert the right visitors into leads. It's time to close those deals. Closed videos are typically the kind that are often overlooked by the sales team, but I think it's really important in weighing it down. So if the consumer is now looking at saying, okay, do I buy this or not? They want to really put themselves in they want to visualize themselves using your product. There's a reason why I guess customers would rather watch a video about a product than read about it. Videos are able to display functionality. They can leverage emotions in a way that a product description just can't do. So videos at this stage are really important so that you get an engagement with your prospect. And finally, the fourth stage, there can be a personalized videos, but it's also videos very much to say, can you encourage your customers to embrace your brand and become a bit of a brand evangelist? Can they do an onboarding video, a product training video, a thank you video, a testimonial video, so get them involved in that step as well. So that was kind of a sort of long one, and just to relieve all of that, I'm going to launch another poll. And this is kind of a harder question, I thought, but given the importance of this whole journey of the buyer's journey and what videos are there, what would be the first priority for you as a company? Would you want to be attracting new leads? What would you if you had one single attraction there, what would be your main priority? Closing, would it be closing down, making existing clients the core? And just to give you some feedback on that, we have about 50% talking about sort of attracting new leads and getting new companies in there. So attracting prospects to your company. So using videos to attract, using videos in terms of brand films, explainers, and thought leadership videos. Very interesting. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we're going to pass on to the next thing, which is just about metrics. One of the key aspects of any kind of strategy, but especially important for videos, given that they can be expensive to do, that they can be time-consuming. And again, this is really something you could put to an entire webinar. We again decided to try and distill this. For us, there are three key aspects to the metrics. The first is to define your goal. What goal does that video have at this particular moment? You can repurpose videos, or a video can have several goals. But at this particular moment, what is the main priority for that video? And then choose the appropriate metrics that would measure the success or not of that, of reaching that goal. So the KPIs that I've listed on the right-hand side give you some of the metrics that people typically use for videos. View counts, watching time, completion rate, conversion, clicks, play rates, and so on. So those are all the KPIs that people would typically use for video analysis. And then the third and most important, very much often overlooked, is to actually analyze your results and learn from them and say, okay, we did this video, that was the priority. Surprise, surprise, it didn't go exactly as we thought it would. It's gone somewhere else. What can we learn from this? Is this good news or bad news? You know, and how do we change this? How do we learn from this? So that's the really important part of that as well. Now, getting on to videos for exporters. One of the key parts of using videos for exporters is really to localize them. And here we're talking about, this is a localized websites, but localizing videos. And the best way I have to explain how to localize a video is to go back to some of the basics about website localization and what we mean for that. You know, website localization basically allows exporters to reach into markets, to reach their target audiences, and to be understood, to be found, and to do business with those target export markets. So a localized website would allow you, for example, to appear as a German website to a German prospect, which would then give him the trust that he needs to go through that buyer's journey. So it creates relevance in that target market and establishes credibility. I've listed on this slide here the 10 main criteria that we have to define localization. So when we talk about localization, whether it's a website or a video, those are the 10 steps that we figure define localization. So it's not just about language, that's one of the 10 criteria. But it's many other things as well. It's regulatory requirements, and that applies to video as well. For websites, it's your domain name. For videos, it can be, you know, cultural aspects are taken into consideration. Optimized for search engines, certainly. And what do I mean by this? Why do it have to be optimized for different search engines? Well, it gets back again to this whole notion of localized. If you're sitting in the US, Google.com looks very different from google.co.uk, which is the Google you would find in the UK, for example. Google, like all search engines, are basically localized. They put the searcher at the core, at the center of their function. So they're not really concerned with you, the company, trying to attract attention. Their concern is with the person looking, the searcher. And so they will give the responses that they believe, that their algorithms believe are the most relevant to that searcher. So if I'm sitting in the UK and I type in something on google.co.uk, it will give me responses that are in line and harmonized with where I am and in the UK environment. Very different for sitting in the US or in Mexico or India or Germany or wherever. So don't think of Google as one massive company. Think of it as 192 different search engines, because that's how many countries Google is present in. Now that's for Google. There are other search engines as well, but which we'll get on to for China. But that's, you know, so Google has basically 192 different Googles. So your website, if you want your website to appear in, you know, well in Germany, for example, you need to make sure that Google Germany, google.de, likes you, thinks you're a great company for a German prospect, thinks you're relevant to that German prospect, and so on. Let's get back to my 10 criteria. For video, some of the key, most important aspects of localization have to do with keywords. And keywords appear at various points in your video, but particularly in your metadata and your titles. And we'll get onto that in a moment. But optimizing your keywords are really important. Here I've given an example of words. If you were, you know, that you need to optimize. If you were, for example, targeting the Brazilian market, and one of the keywords that people would search for is the word train, you have to make sure that you're using the right word. That, you know, if you're Portuguese, you're going to use the word comboio to word train, and if you're Brazilian, you use the word trem for a train. So if you're going to produce a Portuguese website for Brazil, You need to make sure the keywords are optimized for Google, which has 95% share in Brazil. So Google Brazil likes the keywords, not Google Portugal. So that's an example of keyword optimization for a search engine. Just another one, again, this is a very similar case. The word car in Spanish, in Spain, in Catalan Spanish, it's auto. Sorry, it's coche. Got that wrong. And in Mexico, it's auto. And if you get the wrong term on your video descriptions, you will lose out on a lot of those searches because, for example, if you're using coche in Mexico, only 27% of the people looking for a video on coche are going to actually see you. So that's sort of not a good thing. So keywords and keyword optimization are really key and important things to have right in videos. Our last one as well is just about subtitles. And here, this is actually a pretty major, important one. Subtitles are really important for videos. They allow on many levels for your domestic market. For if you've got an English speaker and the video is in English, you need to make sure that there are some subtitles there that are just giving you some strong messages, highlighting the points that you want to be highlighted. For export videos, it is perfectly permissible to take one that you've done in English. For example, for your domestic market in the US or in the UK, it's an English video, the word spoken is in English, and use subtitles in Chinese, Brazilian Portuguese, German, Arabic, whatever language it's needed. That is absolutely acceptable and a good thing, but it allows you as well to make sure that the words you're using in those subtitles are good words and the right words. So there you go. So that's really important to make sure that you've got those right. I would add as well, a lot of people also use both subtitles and memes. And a word of caution on the memes. Sometimes they can be fantastic. Sometimes they can be confusing. For an export video, try to avoid jokes. Try to avoid cultural specifics. And in our view, try to avoid most memes. Sometimes they mean different things in different languages. And you might just be getting the wrong message passed at that. Right, this is going to be my third and final poll, which is, do you have localized websites for your export businesses? Do you localize your websites for exports? And can you do you have localized websites? And I'm just looking at the responses. It's very mixed this time. Well, I think a lot of you, the majority of you have localized websites for a few of your export markets, which is pretty good going. So we're pleased about that. Well done you for having localized websites for a few of your export markets. Remember that if you're going to invest in the videos, the traction you'll get with video on a localized website far exceeds anything that you'll get without. Okay, I'm going to now pass on, close that poll, and we're going to talk about video platforms. And this is actually really important for exports and exporters. And what platforms do you use? Vanessa, maybe you could take over here. Vanessa?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you, Susanna. So we just talked about how to create videos. Now, a creative, high-quality video posted on Facebook or YouTube that plays the viewer's wants, motivations, and needs can go far to bridge the gap between you and your target customer. No matter your video purpose, placement is key. In other words, where your message lives is just as important as the message itself. So before you choose Facebook or YouTube or other platforms, you should understand the differences between these social media outlets and approach your video's production with its home in mind. We found that although there are more and more viewers watching videos on Facebook, especially in Latin America, the average Facebook video receives 6 seconds of engagement in views compared to nearly 5 minutes of average playtime on a brand website. Now let's have a look at how platforms differ. When people visit Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, we found that they tend to be on the go, using their phone in queues at Starbucks or hurrying between meetings. So your chance to grab a viewer's attention is much shorter. Now, in the online world, we advise you to provide some stopping videos on these chosen platforms. When people visit YouTube, though, we found that they're going on the website with a specific intent to watch videos. It's even more so when people visit your official website. They likely already have time to sit down and watch. They expect high-quality videos with decent sound effects. We listed some tools here to show you options on embedding videos on your website. Next up, we will zoom in on YouTube. Finding hard stats from YouTube is surprisingly difficult, but YouTube itself declares they have over 1 billion users, almost a third of all people on the internet, and viewers watch millions of hours of YouTube videos and generate millions of views every day. Growth in viewing time on YouTube has accelerated as well, and this is up by 50% year on year for 3 years. The number of people watching YouTube each day has increased by 40% year on year since March 2014. Now, 80% of YouTube's views are from outside of the United States. The good news is YouTube has launched local versions in more than 88 countries. You can navigate YouTube in a total of 76 different languages, and that covers 95% of the internet population. While having a super high penetration rate in international markets, you should know that YouTube is banned in China. Now, if you're interested in outreach to China, you might wonder, what's the YouTube equivalent in China? Well, there isn't one. Youku and Tencent videos, you may have heard of it. They are arguably the YouTube equivalents, but Chinese users engage with these platforms much differently to YouTube. Youku and Tencent videos are good options to embed videos on a website, sharing your official videos to your Chinese social media channels, but very few users will discover your branded videos or channels on these platforms. Users go on Youku and Tencent to watch TV series, movies, celebrity news published by official news outlets. While YouTube is famous for its YouTubers, they cannot be found on Youku or Tencent Video. Now, the Chinese video influencers, they live on live streaming applications such as Douyin, we have listed out here. There are also YouTuber-like users uploading their videos to a platform called Bilibili. This is a site started by lovers of manga and cosplay. So if you're a beauty brand, this is likely to be a platform to watch out for. Now, we have just talked about how to distribute videos, but when and how do you use them to achieve objectives? We have some examples here to help you understand. Now, in this scenario, our client from the States were to attend a trade show in the UK. They wanted to broadcast to their fan base and prospects about this to increase footprint at the show. So we put our Facebook placement leveraging our client's video content. It's also a good idea to provide a place for your audience to convert during or after they have watched the video. In this case, we launched a campaign landing page on the website with all the helpful details about the show. Now, the next one, in this scenario, our client would like to attract prospective distributors in international markets with the launch of their revolutionary products. We launched a Facebook campaign with very specific target settings to engage with a pool of prospects. Now, in this scenario, our client has just launched a new product in Australia. We leveraged their engaging video content and launched a Facebook ad with specific audience targeting. Again, we have a landing page on the website with easy to understand content and call to actions for users to convert. Now, the next one, in this scenario, our client would like to increase brand awareness in New Zealand. We launched a Facebook campaign engaging with New Zealand users, taking users to a case study landing page on the website. Now I will hand over to Susanna for more case studies.
Thank you, Vanessa. Terrific. I actually just wanted to sort of conclude, I want to leave I know that we're getting a lot of questions. I wanted to conclude really with some of our own case studies, really, some of the things we've done for our own company and for clients too. I think one of the things that comes out with the examples just given by Vanessa is that each video, it was part of a campaign and had a specific target. And again, that just reinforces that message that if you design a video in order to achieve a specified goal at a specified time, and then you measure it and see how it's going, and then change it if it needs to be changed. We wanted to also put out some videos or some examples to show you some examples of videos that are used for thought leadership. And this comes very much at the end of what's called the buyer's journey, either the testimonial types of thought leadership, and you have an example on our website here with ASG, a client of ours talking about websites we did for him. And if you'd like to hear that, please go to our website and find it on the success page, IBT Online success stories, and you'll see a whole bunch of them. But there's our very much end of the cycle. These are clients who give you a testimonial. And those are some of the most valuable videos that you want to aim for as a company, because it's obviously gives so much weight to prospects to hear other companies talking about their journey rather than the salesman talking about the benefits of their own company. Thought leadership also, however, is just giving good, solid information by experts. And I want to include this one here by Michael Hawksley, Online Business Director at IBT Online, who's got a video on our website about website build, localization, and so on. Again, very much an informative, educational video, which fulfills that other task of key task of video. So there you go. So those are the types of case studies and examples that we can give you from using at trade shows, to thought leadership via lead generation. For us, videos really play an integral part of any international online marketing strategy. They are some of the most cost-effective ways we can find of reaching out and engaging with a local target audiences. They build brand faster and more effectively than many other kinds of written marketing material, and really are able to create a relevance to that target market, which is so important to build the buyer's trust when you are looking to get your export sales up. So for us, the key message again is just really, get out there with your localized websites, get found, get understood, do business, use videos as an effective means of establishing your credibility and building global brands. They have now become within reach of virtually all companies in terms of cost. You can easily just take your telephone, your smartphone, put it outside and play and create a video. In fact, the trend at the moment is for sort of very raw and conversational types of video. They seem to be attracting the most hits. So, the least polished ones are actually succeeding. So we would really encourage you all to get out there, make your videos, get them up on your websites, integrate them into your international online marketing strategies, and reap some of the rewards of that. So I've left a little bit of time at the end now for questions. And I can see there are actually quite a few. The first one I'm going to hand straight to Vanessa. Can you tell us more about video regulations in China, Vanessa? It says, besides knowing the right platforms, are there other things we should be mindful of?
Okay, so yeah, there are certainly some regulations as you would with YouTube. However, a lot of the rules are ambiguous via Chinese video platforms. For example, one of our clients once uploaded a video prepared for the China market with Chinese subtitles and nicely translated video title and description to Youku. The video was immediately censored by Youku as a banned video, so the video didn't display at all. Our client got in touch with us to resolve this. So after a complex process of reviewing all possible causations, we concluded that Youku didn't like the video's background music, so it was flagged as a copyright issue. We provided a purchase proof of the music to Youku and did manage to resolve this. So yeah.
Terrific. Okay, so yeah, China, as so often, on its own sphere there, and be aware of the regulations and of having to tread carefully on some of those. A question I'm going to take, a very broad question from one of you, which is, what is the biggest error you see clients making with videos? And I have to say I have a very clear view on this. The biggest error we see clients making with videos is that they don't put call to action with them. In other words, the video stands as a lone thing. There's no next step. And after the video, the person viewing the video doesn't know what to do. He's not led on a further journey. So do remember to implant calls to action, like contact us for a quote, or get in touch, or want to learn more. All those calls to action, which are so important. It also reveals to me, if there's no call to action, you probably were perhaps a little bit light on deciding what the goal of the video was for. Why were you creating the video? To generate leads. That at the end of the video, you should have a call to action saying, find out more, get in touch, call us, or however it is that you want them to then download their contact details so that the sales force can get in touch with them. So the biggest error that we see is not having a call to action. Right, Vanessa, this one. What type of landing pages are the most suitable to use for videos?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's always good to use videos to communicate complex messages. So videos can be and should be used on landing pages for that matter. Now, in most conversion rate optimization campaigns, benefit-focused explainer videos are considered the real conversion boosters. Marketers can often forget that even though we understand how our product or service can help users, others often do not care. So videos should be used to deliver your message efficiently. Another tip is that the use of demo videos. These are better placed on the bottom of your landing page with a clear call to action, inviting users to click and schedule a demo. Now, your video content should suit the purpose and goal of your landing page. We can perhaps, run an entire webinar on this. So if you have a more specific issue to tackle, please email myself or Susanna.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm going to tackle one more, which is just goes back to keyword localization, keyword optimization. The question is, the example I gave you about sort of car and coche and things, can you not use both keywords in the same post, and that that'll solve it all? That way you can have a video for everybody. I mean, theoretically you can, but it's not really an optimal way of doing it. Remember that a lot of the time, the metadata that you're putting in there is limited to a few characters. So you really want to have as most impactful as possible. Your viewer, when he's scouting around looking at videos, your viewer is only going to see a little bit of text. And if you've got the wrong keyword there, or it's just dimmed because you've got both keywords for Spain and Mexico, for example, you've got too many keywords, it kind of loses the impact. And a search engine like Google recognizes that you're stuffing, perhaps, your metadata, or that you're not doing it in a natural way. So again, it's just not an optimal solution. It's a bit like if I was to try and promote chocolate cookies in the UK, and I would call them chocolate cookies in sentence 1 and chocolate biscuits in sentence 2. It's just maybe it's a small thing, but it's enough to jar with a potential buyer. They might feel, oh, what is that? What am I buying here? So it's not what we would recommend to use a whole, to use all the keywords. That way it's good for everybody. It doesn't actually work, unfortunately. There's another question, I think, which is I'm going to take, which is about GDPR. Does GDPR apply to video? GDPR, for those of you who've been not aware, is the General Data Protection Regulation that was introduced by the European Union in May 2018, and it is it's increasingly enforced and strictly enforced, and it is, I think, coming to the internet like a sort of brick wall, like a tsunami. Regulation of the internet is coming from all sides, not just Europe. And GDPR does apply to video. Now, that is problematic if you're taking a picture of many people. Do you have to have permission from all those people? No, that would not be realistic, and the EU knows that. If you're at a trade show and you take a general shot, that's fine. But if you are singling out an individual, then that individual has to give you permission to be on that video. For example, just simply put, if you've got your head of product doing a product demo, the head of product has to know that he's doing that video and has to agree to it in a written form for GDPR purposes. So there you go. GDPR definitely applies to video. Right? We've there's a few other questions, actually 2 questions about our sources, and we do list our sources here. We do list our sources on the slide deck, which we will be sending to you. If you'd like to know more about any of these sources that we had or the information that we had, please let us know, and we'll show you the original pieces as well. That did not come from our original research. With that, we've kept to our time. We're delighted. I do see that there's another few more questions, but we have kept to our time. We will be replying to your questions individually by email directly. I think that would be simplest. Thank you so much. Please stay on just a few seconds more to do our wonderful tiny survey. Thank you again. Happy exporting, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the webinar, and get out there and use your phone, make some videos, and use them on your international online marketing after you fill out our survey. Thank you, and happy exporting.